Today we are going to hear a terrifying tale of one diver's meeting with an enormous jellyfish off the coast of the UK. Buckle up, kiddies, this is gonna be a fun one. Elizabeth had grown up in a small British village where everyone had heard tales of giant sea creatures that taunted and harassed fishermen for generations. In fact, Elizabeth's very own father had been a fisherman in their town, and one night he had come home with a chilling tale. According to him and his crew, a massive creature had appeared alongside their boat near sundown, but just as the men tried to get a good look at it, it vanished deep underwater. Moments later, their boat had been thrust violently from side to side. Her father, a God-fearing Christian, had gathered his men around and they prayed for their very lives. It would seem that his prayers were answered when the beast apparently retreated to the depths. When her father and his crew returned, they shared the chilling story, and the beast gained the terrifying nickname of Devil Squid. This nickname amounted in part from the men's recounting of the creature's long tentacles. According to some reports, each was at least the size of 4 large men. After growing up with her father's harrowing tale, Elizabeth knew that she had to know more, so she began to strive for a career in marine biology. She was accepted to the University of St. Andrews, where she got her degree and went on to study marine life in the area. All the while, her true mission was to locate the creature that had nearly killed her father. Unfortunately, the majority of her time was spent in her lab analyzing water samples. In fact, Elizabeth was getting a little tired of the daily grind. That was until one fateful night as she was driving home. The route that Elizabeth had to take to get home took her along the coast, and she often gazed out into the water, just thinking about the horrifying terror that her father must have felt as his boat was rocked back and forth by the Devil Squid. But as Elizabeth was driving that night, her eyes caught something in the water. She spotted a massive jet stream that wouldn't have been out of place behind a cruise ship. But Elizabeth couldn't see any boat for miles. She immediately pulled to the side of the road and watched as it moved through the water. She wasn't going to just let this opportunity pass her by. She quickly rang up several colleagues, and soon she was joined by a van full of equipment and several fellow biologists, but they all expressed concern about staging a dive when the sun had recently set. After all, once she was down there, Elizabeth would have virtually no visibility. Despite the warning of her colleagues, Elizabeth insisted on going into the water. She equipped herself with diving gear and she plunged right into the dark waters below and began swimming towards the disruption she had spotted. As she got closer, she could hardly believe her eyes as she was greeted by a giant jellyfish. As she shone her light over the creature's surface, she could find no end to its incredible mass. She was certain that it was the creature that her father had encountered all those years ago. Determined to get a skin sample, she moved into position with the specialized equipment, but as she did, she became entangled in the seemingly endless tentacles. She squirmed and twisted, but it was no use. Pulsating charges of electricity were penetrating her suit as she was repeatedly stung, and against all odds, she pulled out her diver's knife out and began hacking at the tentacle, hoping that the creature would free her. Don't worry, people, we'll tell you if Elizabeth was able to free herself. But first, make sure you leave a like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon right now. After you click the bell, comment notification swab below, and I'll reply to all of you saying thanks, because I love you like that. As Elizabeth continued to mercilessly hack at the tendril, she felt as if she would never escape. She was growing tired and increasingly certain that she would lose her life in the dark, hazy water. Exhausted, Elizabeth said a prayer and thought of her father. In a desperate last-ditch effort, the terrified young woman took a final stab at the tendril, but this time, it cut through it. In a lot of pain and utterly exhausted, she swam to the surface and hailed her team. Elizabeth was pulled from the water at nearly 10 p.m. and immediately raced back to her lab. Upon analysis, she discovered that the creature was a giant barrel jellyfish. However, it was the largest specimen ever found. Found in the tentacle revealed that the creature was pregnant. The tentacle is now being housed at a local museum, and despite repeated attempts, no one has been able to locate the injured specimen that nearly cost Elizabeth her life. However, many fear that the coast may soon be overrun by large numbers of enormous barrel jellyfish, larger than science has ever known. Have you encountered anything scary underwater? Tell us in the comments below and make sure you click on one of the videos on the screen to hear another amazing story, people. Have a good day!